Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Snow White with the Red Hair, chapter 120. When we last left our heroes, the masquerade got off, with the entire party drugged without anyone noticing. Obi finally figured it out, in time to give him and Eisetsu the antidote, and have Suraba and Shirayuki step in. They found an unconscious woman who the mystery lady had drugged, and seems to have some more info on who she is, but she's currently unconscious. Eisetsu went to go chase after her and got in the carriage with her, and learned that she is an old friend of his, we think, some kind of prior connection, named Lady Kageya. That's kind of where we left off last time, so let's jump right on into chapter 120. Our picture here is of Shirayuki in like a hooded cloak or something, and holding a shovel. Huge hit, a romance that cuts through fate, perfume, a soiree, a mysterious woman, unearth the truth from darkness, which is where the shovel comes from, I guess. And so we open back in the carriage with Eisetsu and Kageya. Lady Kageya. Kageya responds, "I'm impressed you were able to recognize me in the midst of all that." Eisetsu just looks at her, still shocked, and then turns away. "Yes, well, I'm surprised at it myself. It may be because you came to mind recently." And Kageya responds, "No, you don't think of me, I'm sure." And then Eisetsu continues, "It's because I recently met a knight with the same name as you." And Kageya looks at him. "A knight? His name is Yozumi Elise. You're also an Elise. Kageya Elise." Okay. So is she also Mrs. Lyra? Or is the Elise family tied up with her in multiple ways? Because wasn't it Yozumi's lover had the perfume, right? Which would make sense if the lover is also Lyra, then it would be really weird if Kageya was also Lyra, because that's just fucked up. But anyway, and then he flashes back to Obi saying, "Do you know a woman by the name of Madame Liera?" And then he has another vision of Kageya in her masquerade mask, and Kageya asks, "Why? Why do you see him?" And Eisetsu's kind of shocked by the sudden ferocity of Kageya's response. "Huh? When? Where did you see Yozumi?" And Eisetsu just like looks at her, and then we cut back to the manor where it looks like people are waking up from the drug and are just kind of chattering amongst themselves now. But back with the mystery woman and Shirayuki and Obi, the woman like twitches a little bit in her sleep. And Shirayuki looks at her. "You've woken up." And the woman kind of starts to lean up, but Shirayuki stops her. "Oh, please try to relax. You collapsed during the soiree, so we moved you into this room." And we see the woman is like shaking now, like shivering. And Shirayuki looks at her, and Obi leans over. The poison still? The loss of consciousness was the poison, but she seems to have recovered from that now. And then Shirayuki smells perfume. So wait, I thought the poison was perfume. Or the perfume was the poison. And that Kageya splashed the perfume on her, and that's what knocked her unconscious. But it seems to be a different thing, because the poison is worn off, and yet the perfume is still there? I don't know. Anyway, Shirayuki continues, "There's lingering traces of a strong perfume on you. Did something happen?" And the woman, like, hesitantly, "Perfume? Where? Where is Lyra? So is Kageya Lyra, then? The antidote I need. Where? Lyra. Where is Lyra?" And Obi takes that in. "Lyra?" And Shirayuki and Obi leave the room. "The scent was all over the room we found her in. If it's the same as the perfume Yozumi had, the effect would be significant. Her confusion must be due to that." So you may recall last time, Kaguya mentioned that the antidote that this woman had taken wasn't the real thing or something. So did Lyra give her that fake antidote? I don't know. There's a lot of mystery here that we just don't have enough pieces to even start to puzzle out. Um, hmm. Perfume and its antidote, huh? And Madame Liera is involved. So the guest who ran from the event is probably her. And Shiryuki adds on, and Lord Eisetsu ran after her, but hasn't come back. And the two of them look at each other. And I'm not sure that's right, though. Unless Kaguya is acting under a pseudonym, which is certainly possible, but it doesn't quite seem to fit. Going by the Kaguya and Eisetsu scene. Anyway, then we check in with Lilias, who, as you may recall, Ryu gave them a sample of the perfume to run some tests on. So the Lilias Research Center, this is... excuse me. I keep feeling a burp about to happen, and then does not happen. Anyway, I see. In that case, the store wouldn't have any idea. This is a problem. And so this is, I forget her name, the girl who's friends with Suzu. You know who it is. Suzu, we have a problem. And Suzu turns to her. I heard you running, I could tell. Sorry, it's not just a normal perfume for sure. And Suzu, is a little shocked at that. The night story in the letter, plus the results of Shiryuki and Ryu's experiment, plus the perfume components you looked up for me, plus the account written in this book, all taken together make it almost impossible to refute. I was so shocked when I read that letter. How could I not know the existence of a plant that produced a scent like that? Or was it possible as a perfume produced from something other than a plant? I needed to know. And Suzu looks at her. That's why you stared at that letter? So then I dove into a bunch of books one by one looking, but didn't find anything. I had to keep digging back into older and older records related to perfume, and Suzu kind of like taken back by like the sheer force of the words she's given speaking. And then there it was. A scent that steadily discombobulates a person. Steadily discombobulates? I've never heard anyone say discombobulates in a serious setting. Anyway, she continues. For example, let's say you're coming to my room. There it is. Excuse me. Before you arrive, I burn a certain fragrance. Sure. You notice the scent then, and a few days later, by chance, you start to miss it. And then you smell the same fragrance in my room again. 4 times, 5 times, and this repeats, and then you just can't help yearning for it. You start to come more often. And Suzu just banters, are you going to throw me out? Shush, this is the interesting part. I wonder if you can figure it out. You wouldn't even think you might have been poisoned by this fragrance. Instead, you think the thing you're missing and craving is me. Which we see is basically exactly what happened with Yozumi. He apparently was missing the scent, and thought he was missing the lover, who has not confirmed to be Lyra, but is probably Lyra. Or, yeah, probably Lyra. Anyway, I can't remember her name, but she looks at Suzu, and Suzu continues, wow. You're aware that some scents have effects, so you might not get trapped by it. No, I don't know. I'm not wary of perfumes. In any event, it used to be candles they did this with. And Suzu looks at her. It wasn't used by nobility, but secretly in the red light district. It came to light due to the stories of some customers who realized something very strange was happening. The cultivation of the plant they used and possession of such candles was outlawed. However, if someone were to secretly keep records and maintain the plant in question all this time, and Suzu picks up the thread, they can make perfume of it and use it that way. And then, it can be brought to light again. And Ryu, we then cut to Ryu back at Lugiria Manor, Castle, whatever. This is a report from Lilias. He's reading the whole thing to Yozumi. It's the same as what you said, Sir Yozumi. What's his name? It's, Eisetsu's assistant. Shu? I think it's Shu. There's also a possibility your lover used it without knowing. And Yozumi just kind of takes all this in. I don't know. When I met her, she was already using that perfume. Why me? And Shu asks him, did she ever ask you things about the goings-on of the nights? No, she never showed any interest. And Shu kind of ponders that for a moment. It's not wrong to think that the wearer of the perfume would also be affected by it, correct? And Ryu responds, right. Only, it seems they were using a neutralizing medicine. In that case, couldn't Yozumi be cured? And Ryu responds, yes. And Yozumi takes that in. Be cured? If the perfume's effect vanished, excuse me, would my affection for her vanish along with it? And Ryu was he didn't really take that into consideration, that Yozumi might push back on losing his affection. But he takes that in he takes that in for a moment. And Ryu continues, I don't know either way, but you know how you really feel, so you'll be alright. And Yozumi just looks at him. We see the smallest bit of tears in his eyes. We'll try it together. And Yozumi, pulls himself together there. And Shu continues, this is a copy out of a book, right? Even there, in the research center, they were unable to find accounts of how these candles and antidotes were made. That's right. That's why I'm going to research at the castle. Okay. That's something. And then Yozumi just, grabs his head, and Shu and Ryu just look at him. In that case, I need to get permission from my captain to participate in this investigation. And Shu just smiles at him. I'm sure Lord Eisetsu will hear your request. So, we'll do this once Shirayuki and the rest return. But won't Shirayuki's investigation kind of wrap all this up? If it's all Lyra, if all of this ties back to Lyra, and Shirayuki, through Kageya, finds Lyra, finds the lover, whether or not they're the same person, different people, 3 different people, who knows? But won't all this be kind of done once that happens? I'm not sure. Anyway. So now we come back to the carriage. As Kageya is continuing her freak out, when did you see, and Eisetsu responds, recently. He visited me at my estate. If he's a relation of yours, you should tell me. Are you blood relatives? Kageya is just silent there. Please answer me, Lady Kageya. This evening, did you attend under the name Elise? And just then, the carriage hits a rock in the road and kind of bumps. And Kageya responds, we're stopping. Please disembark, Lord Eisetsu. In that case, take me back to... and then she, pulls out a knife or something and stabs him in the shoulder. All of a sudden. It's a very, very, light wound. Maybe, less than an inch deep. Judging by the blood on the knife blade after she pulls it out. But it's, Eisetsu isn't exactly happy about the situation. And as Kageya pulls away, Eisetsu looks at her. What are you planning? But she doesn't answer as she just shoves him out of the carriage. And there goes all our chances to find out some answers about all this shit. At least for right now. As Eisetsu hits the ground. And Kaguya turns to her driver. Don't stop. And she closes her eyes as she leaves, as we see Eisetsu behind her, just crumpled on the ground. And then we see the tip of a sheathed sword. As Eisetsu, pulls himself back up on his sword. And he gets to his feet, and then he brings himself over to a tree, and just collapses, under it. Shit. Always such an unforgiving person. And then he feels himself get a little woozy, probably from Kaguya's perfume, and he kind of shakes his head, and he flashes back to Shirayuki telling him, bite down. And he pulls out his medicine, but as he does that, these 3 guys with what look like muskets? Are there muskets in this world? Have they advanced that far technologically? Maybe very rudimentary guns, but I don't think I've ever seen a gun. Maybe they're blades? Possibly, but the guy on the right, the way he's holding it, looks like a rifle to me. Um, anyway, Eisetsu calls out to them, "Who's there?" Nope, it's a sword. They're wearing swords and masks, and they're like assassin type guys. And Eisetsu crunches down the medicine right as one of the assassins lunges for him. And Eisetsu just lets out, "Oh, jeez," which is such a good response to an assassination attempt. Um, but then another one, like, this is a fourth guy, because the first three all have, like, white hair or light hair, however it would be in color. It's white in the black and white. And this fourth guy has black hair, who hits Eisetsu. Um, and now they've got Eisetsu backed up against a tree. And yeah, we see there are four of them. He seems to be mostly focused on the three light hairs. But there's still the black-haired guy off to the side. And one of the assassins tells him, or asks him, "What relation do you have with the lady in the carriage?" And Eisetsu stops for a moment before it continues. "She was quite attractive, so I requested a ride, but when I tried to seduce her, she pushed me out. Are you going to tell me who she is?" And one of the assassins turns to the other. "This man, isn't he the Earl of Rugilia?" "What?" And Eisetsu continues, which I guess is how we're pronouncing it now. I thought it was, I've been calling it Lugiria, but I guess it's Rugilia. Anyway. Rugilia. Huh. Hearing that name brings up a lot of rotten memories. What's that about? Like, that's just his name. What memories is that about? Like, that's just his name, isn't it? Unless I'm forgetting something? I don't think I am. I think it's just his name. Unless no one has called him Regalia in a long time. Anyway, one of the assassins, "Should we capture him?" "Wait." And then we see Eisetsu turns to look at the black-haired, and there's Tsuruba with a sword to his neck, who, as you remember last time, was going to go chase after Eisetsu. And then we leave them behind to go check in with Shiryuki and Obi. Obi calls back to her, "Are you ready, young miss?" "Ready." Oh, right, they're both on a horse. I should have mentioned that. They're on a horse, presumably to go chase down Eisetsu, maybe? Because when we last left them, right, they were, talking to the woman. Or they left the woman. Oh, yeah, because there's a line, Eisetsu ran after her but hasn't come back, and then they both look at each other. So, yeah, that's where they're going. But anyway, to be continued December 24th. So we're off next month again. I feel like it's only been like 2 months since our last break. But yeah, we're off for another month. And right as the perfume plot is starting to pick up steam, which is kind of a shame. But anyway, that's the end of the chapter. And yeah, this is a really fun chapter. It really is. There we go. Sorry about that. It really is the distinct plots of this perfume and Lyra storyline are really starting to weave together. We're seeing, full details as to how the perfume works, which we also kind of see, which also, it makes it seem like it's a different thing than what happened at the party. Because the way they describe it here is that it's a subtle thing, and it takes many, many uses before it really has the effect. But at the party, it's like, immediately they were all just kind of hypnotized. So maybe that's why in that first scene, and not in the first scene, the scene with Shiryuki, Obi, and the woman, they mentioned the poison wearing off, but the perfume still having its effects. Maybe there are two things. The thing that Kageya splashed the woman with is not the perfume. I don't know. That's kind of the thing about this whole arc, though, is that there are still so many mysteries going around. Meanwhile, we do check in with the Lilios gang, very briefly, so they can deliver some exposition. And honestly, the concept of the perfume is just really cool. Like, it's a very subtle, hypnotic thing. But like, before you realize it, over many, many days or weeks, you start to realize that you're, like, addicted. I think it's kind of a cool idea of a drug. I don't know. And then we see another scene with Yozumi, Shu, and Ryu. Um, and it's not exactly the greatest part of the chapter. I think Yozumi isn't enough of a there hasn't been enough of an effort to make us really care about Yozumi for us to really care about whether or not he loses his feelings for the lover or whatever. Um, like it's not exactly the highlight of the arc right now. But then we get to Kageya, who straight up attacks Eisetsu and like kicks him out of the moving carriage, which is a baller move. Not gonna lie. But there are still plenty of mysteries, specifically how exactly she ties into Yozumi, and how exactly that makes her tie into the mystery lover. And again, there's all kinds of weird things going on around there that I have full faith will be kind of ironed out as the arc goes on. Then we have these assassins, and I'm not entirely sure what exactly their goal is. Because there's this thing here when they first show up. They ask, what relation do you have with the lady in the carriage? To me, that seems to imply that they are opposed to Kageya. Like, they think that there's some connection between them, and so that's why they attack Eisetsu. Especially as we see that they kind of stop after they realize he's the Earl. They're kind of like this moment, should we capture him? And of course they don't, because Tsuruba shows up. But, you know, these assassins are kind of a new mystery player. We don't exactly know how they fit in, even to the web of mysteries we've already got. But yeah, then after that we have Obi and Shirayuki ready to go and find Eisetsu, and also join this whole menagerie of shit going on in the forest. So yeah, all in all, this is a really fun chapter. Really propulsive, really moving this arc forward, and offering some answers as to how exactly this perfume works. While also still setting up many, many mysteries to come. And now we have 2 months to wait for any of that, so yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!